Good morning, everyone. 다리 먼저 뒤로 하자. 근데 산이마다 근데 배진 주시 조용아 저룩 주기를 봐. 저룩. 되네 먼저 저 주시. 디지 컨데싱. 디지 컨데스 두고의 메터라다. 저 계시에 리에스로.
So, welcome back to the Sunday talks for those who've been here before. So, this is maybe our 14th or maybe our 15th or maybe our 16th talk. We're not 100% on that one, but somewhere around that area. But the topics that we're going to be following over the next few weeks anyway is how to make your mind happy, how to bring happiness to the mind.
Last week we did basic daily meditation. On the top we did mindfulness present moment. I give you a home relaxation. that that the any 먼저 저 주시디 따디로 주시조디 방랑이라 게 나와 양탑에 나와 양탑에 나스네다 깨지셔도 아니 컨데스 깨지셔고에매당 아니 깨지셔다 돈에 스스 디지투다 텐데 돌아다 저린 주시조디 셰기 예스로
Getting. Okay, so the main thing we're going to be looking at is this Eightfold Noble Path, and specifically within that, we're talking about right speech. So this is referring to like how you communicate, how you speak with others, and how to establish that in a way that brings kind of harmony and happiness into your life.
Before that, we do some daily basic meditation. And daily meditation is motivation meditation and breathing exercise and breathing meditation and mindfulness of present moment. This is basic or daily, you can say daily or breakfast and lunch dinner. your mind, you know. I mentioned before, we all the time eating breakfast. I think some people missing breakfast this morning. Most people have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and of course, and we need mind, mind food, mind food.
Mind food.
Same color.
Yeah, mind food.
Same color. Data gomja address.
And the food for the mind is meditation.
The tene breathing exercise is same loser,
And so the breathing exercise is like exercise for the mind.
The 먼저 셈래야 칼라요체 아니 루제하고 제나 아니 셈디 당부장 안아서 수부 칼라야고사 니지우쿠 루제하고 제나 수부 되오도 알아 대나시 셈래 셈기 칼라사 셈기 루제제 아니 셈래 니고야데 셈래 녀수데스 콜 레스데스데나 셈래 니고고
So it's important to sustain the mind as well as the body. So obviously we know that, if I want our body to be healthy, we have to eat the right food, get some sleep, get the right amount of sleep, and exercise regularly, right? And this produces like a healthy body. So the mind is the same. The food is like the meditation, the exercises, these breathing exercises, and then the rest, the sleep is an analogy to resting. Sometimes you do need to rest the mind. So we'll look at that.
야, 당도 동마 굴론데 꼼작인다스라. 굴론.
So we'll start off with the motivation.
Motivation was this one. I think most people know, and some they are new people. And was this today all the actions of my body, speech, and mind will only benefit others. This was please repeat after me. Right? Today all the actions of my body, speech, and mind will only benefit others. Today all the actions of my body, speech, and mind will only benefit others. Today all the actions of my body, speech, and mind will only benefit others. I think we need more. Some people mind thinking have little bit of happy. 이게 저번 때문에 concentration 되어버렸어.
Okay.
근데 네 단다 심체가 진로를 위해서 심체가 내 위해서 네 니가 제뭐야 말이지.
So we want a bit more like emphasis and focus if we can have like if half your mind is off thinking about something else and half your mind is here, then you're only putting in 50% power. So we want like,
today oh my body is busy, man. And then sleep is we'll do again 3 times. Okay, I need big loud. It doesn't matter. This is I think helpful added experience. We residing lots in monastery, and my teacher said sometimes my mom to go in Tibet, and I residing my mom have to go in Tibet. Teacher knows need big loud, I get concentration big loud. I forgot thinking Tibet. I just have some training. This training. Today, all the actions of my body, speech, and mind we only benefit others. Today, all the actions of my body, speech, and mind we only benefit others. Today, all the actions of my body, speech, and mind we only benefit others. 저런 수수 쌤 그나라 등마슴 겨 안데네 던다디 돌려야다 삼무당 그랬어.
So now recite it mentally 3 times, and then after we finish the third recitation, really contemplate, try and bring the meaning of that into your heart.
다지란서 드링네체 단데디데시 모티베이션 치링보도와 야 뒤균 저와서요나 아니야 담아들 드링 나메 삼바상보 미야고지 삼바상보 미야고지 지금 삼바상보 다 미야 마야사데 심 상보요나 미야고 라그로하다 어디 삼바상보 미야고지 드링 지기 좀 캘렌저 그래서
So, the point of this, I mean, there's a few words in what you recited, but the point is here that for today, you're going to really develop a good heart, be good hearted, be a positive human being. And a positive human being comes down to this good hearted motivation, this good hearted or pure intention is what determines whether you're a good or a positive human being or not.
뭐다 드링강에 가르치는 세마상보디 뚫렸다면서 담자로
So now reinforce that with the commitment, thinking that no matter what difficulties come about today, no matter what things come up, I will maintain this positive, good-hearted attitude.
다 가와공 알아 된대게 삼번 누가 전보지 요 전제 가와공
So now rejoice. Feel very positive that you developed this good-hearted attitude.
아네 비니 엑서사이즈 치고서 다 비니 엑서사이즈 디 나고니네 북추릉 부추 하고셔라 우릉추 단다 우릉추 당게 우릉파 당게 시바 이 시바 코란라 아니 데 삼나단샤나 디그레스
So now we're going to do the breathing exercise. Oh, katsuchu.
당가자마
Oh, no.
하고버친데
Oh, okay. So what we'll do is we'll be doing this breathing exercise, which is taking a long breath in and a long breath out. And what all you want to do at that time is be aware. So know or recognize that I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. And it should be done through your nose, so you're using both nostrils. Breathing in and out. And the point, you're not counting, you're just aware I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out.
개와 수 동부상으로.
Oh, and have a straight back.
다들 믹 좀 나야고요, 되게.
And for this, it's probably good to have your eyes closed.
다 우퉁 short breath 봐.
Mm-hmm.
우퉁으로 당지. 야 퉁으로도 야 주퉁 당 파퉁 당 쉐버셔는 되고.
So now I do the same, but this time with a shorter breath. So just be aware I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, this time with a shorter breath.
다운즈 breathing meditation. 다들 믹 당지 믹 데스 마 헬러시 개와드 동보사 안에 당기 우퉁아 다야들 장가점다. 장가지 이 숨습 장가지 이 숨접 근데 심데스 가가샤 다다와디가나 데스 지워져라. 야 셈남도다 만 샤그도나 야 장가양자 지기 숨시 나스체버직 살숨접. 양아 접차스나야 때 셈 시바디 셈바지 야 셈잉 로도나 야 지기 숨시 와투 듀니스 어두스 제제다
So Nick Chair.
믹제
So this time, we'll do the breathing meditation now. So this time with your eyes open, again, be aware that your back is straight, breathing through your nose. This time you want to count your breathing. So we'll count, if I start with sets of 3, so you count 3 breaths, and you do this 3 times. And when you've done 3 sets of 3, just rest your mind in the peaceful present moment and do that until the thoughts start to come. And when
시에베셔는 리고라 다다 셈바 알라 셈바 시바도 삼발 흘려지도
okay,
디 하고체 되게 간라 디 하고 제대 돕는 디고다
Okay,
다다.
so when we say resting your mind, just be aware of your mind. Be aware of the state of your mind in the present moment. Is it peaceful? Is it still? Is it calm? Just to recognize it, to be aware of it. And then stay in that state for a little time. But when the thoughts start to come, then again go back to the breathing, and this time do 3 sets of 5. And when you've completed that, again, be aware of your mind, recognize your mind in the present moment and the peaceful state of it until the thoughts start to come. Then do 3 sets of 7 breathing, and then again, be aware of your mind in the present moment.
Oh yeah. 다 motivation 꿀론데 먼저 심기 칼라를 식자리에서 breakfast yummy breakfast에서
So this motivation is you've now had a delicious breakfast for your mind.
그래 가서는 motivation 야고 유나 아니 심 상마지 약복에 저게 드링 선바 상고 미하고 치고 삼나 되게 심 상모에 누가 첨부를 쓰셔도록
So this is like will set you up for your mind for the day in a way, right? Like because if you set a pure motivation in the morning and you carry that intention, it can help you to carry that intention through the day. You know, so if you make the strong intention in the morning to be a positive human being, to have a good motivation, then this like sets you up to carry that through the day.
다들 먼저 디 비디오 엑서사이즈 디 담나 요래데 단다 디야보다 우그링 부지 땅 우퉁디 땅 오네래 먼저 류제제와라래로 네 그 직티레 니네 아니 셈데 마데 그 흐르도에 땅네 디 하고도 수수 셈데 가 로고이 미데스 하고다라
So the breathing exercise, although there's many different techniques, this using this long and short breath is a very good one, the one that we did today, and it kind of like is a sort of exercise for your body, clears out your body, but also relaxes the mind, right? And it sets you up in a state where you can start to be aware, really be aware of the sounds around you, but also aware of your mind. So know what your mind's doing.
근데 비딩 메디테이션 디다 만어서 곰 삼바 템보스야기 탑람 약쇼레로 카셰 글라그레다 비딩 메디테이션 요거도 비딩 메디테이션 디 약쇼레 뭐네잖아 삼바 템보스야 띵이지로 한다 디 치라마 던도 남바 산제베 둡다지기단라 신의 고매야 그 탑람 비딩 메디테이션 메시 요 말해 다가나래 탑람 다가나래
So then we look at the breathing meditation, and this is a very good meditation to stabilize your mind and develop your concentration. Like some people might say, oh, it's a bit boring, just breathing all the time. But actually, this is, you know, the best meditation you can to develop a stable, concentrated, and clear mind. And there's one sub-school of Buddhism that called the Great Exposition School, who only use this technique to develop the concentration, right? They don't use any other technique to develop concentration or calm abiding, only the breath.
드네다 대체 다 드링 아주 주시디 내려와 계산 둔당가마 셈 다다와 간라 샤야 돼 띡득 샤나 돼 드링 아주 미사와 카셰도 알아 띡해 전부 쇼레스로 셈 다다와 간라 샤야 돼 맞아.
So today we're going to follow on from what we did last week, which was keeping the mind in the present moment. So this is a very valuable thing to learn and understand, especially if some people were newer here. Then this is a very good thing to learn and to understand.
그래서는 김제로 김제 가려나 하나도 다 곰잡다 하고 그래라 곰잡 비딩 메디테이션 체 비딩 엑서사이즈 체다 아니 수수 셈디 거와도거든 저 셈로마 자 데베네지 마 타임 그래라 아니 마음반네지 주타 먼저 다다와 간라 시대 되고 말해 아니 대체네 먼저 셈라 시대 연구요 말해 다 셈디 다다와 간라다나 아니 셈라 다다 배는 아주 단단 아주 강바되나라 아주 수직을 강해요 말해 단체나 그 심라직 마지바다 지요나 차게 수수서진 계산 내주 추체래요 아 산인가 미들 계적 가르쳐 그래서 제로 근데 레메시지 다당원에서나 강해제요 말다 시당 아주 수수 디기 당 시디 예스디 간 내두고 말해 가사 콜라 로제로 데 내리다 내가 전부 쉬어져야 돼
So, the reason why it's very important is to keep the mind in the present moment. And we'll become aware of this. You become aware of this when you do these breathing exercises and breathing meditations and so forth. As you meditate more, you start to become aware that most of the time your mind is thinking about the past, and often sometimes it's thinking about the future, but actually not a lot of the time your mind is in the present moment. It's mostly either in the past or the future. And this creates difficulties for us because at the moment, right now, here in this room, none of us actually have any problems, right? Like right in this moment. However, we can manufacture problems. Like we can kind of bring them with us in a way because we're constantly thinking about what has happened in the past and the future. And this creates these problems in our mind, right? So this constantly thinking about yesterday and tomorrow and the past and the future makes our mind makes agitation for our mind, and but in reality in the present moment we don't actually have any difficulties. But if we can't actually bring our mind into the present moment and be aware of that, then it's very hard. We can't actually develop this real happiness or peace.
I usually sometimes state as mantra. In my mind go to jump the past spring. I thought this is history, finish. History, finish. And it takes time because we have strong habit and strong holding. For example, you heard one sound, your friend maybe harsh word, or maybe you're maybe listening song long time in your mind, and then you remember easy to. This is letting go, letting go. But
Yeah, let go.
let go is not easy. Therefore, you need to talk something yourself. The past need to recognize. Oh, this is past, and then you can say, oh, this is history, past history, gone. Then you're thinking future. I think how many million now lottery, 40, 30, some,
50 is
50. Yeah, you have lost mystery lottery, mystery. $20, you make some lunch, yummy lunch, or eat good breakfast. Just mystery. And then you buy a house. you know, sometimes then go like that, and on. 1 hour, 2 hour, gone. This is mystery. And we know much better moment. 아유. 탑람 가래. 디심 타다고 가는 데도 오면 달아. 탑람 가래 그러잖아. 탄다. 또 사저 배교도로. 저리 남시 견자시도 와. 이나 남시디 곰잘 빼고. 남시디 지우라면도 아이나. 곰잘 남시디 빼고.
So, we're kind of fortunate today because we haven't got so-called good weather. But actually, this weather is really good for meditation.
You make reason, weather outside weather no good, but good for meditation. You can do meditation. 어디래? 아니, 다다웠어야 돼. 레거와. benanga tanda geje shego ina nga semde geje kana dena ne nuwa chair geje dirwa chana zo geje nyingi ora da harlagdo di kharlagdo dikitena ane thadawa degi orda odire.
So, keeping the mind in the present moment is also very powerful for your activities. Like, for example, now that I'm speaking, giving this talk, if I keep my mind in the present moment, then the words, it becomes clearer and becomes much more powerful. And it's the same for you. You're just here listening. And if your mind is here as well, then, the listening becomes very effective and very powerful.
And then any time you action present moment, you put more effort, right? For example, this is biggest for you, car key. If you hand a car key, you need waste, but you need present moment. You need clear. Remember, I put this car key. The next time easy to remember. Otherwise, you're missing, the car you drop there, then you do something. Then next time you don't remember, too messy, right? To be somebody slimbling charge. 샤샤나 템버딩 말아. 제가 델샤 하고 다다가는 디믹디 델샤이. 데 사제된 데질샤이. 디틸 잘라된 데스도 감나샤이. 고들 게제 디 야고직 심나 야고직 세버 체제 샤기나 아니 템버 지금 말다 간다.
So, if your mind's always all over the place, then it becomes very hard to be aware of where you put things and what you did with stuff. But if you keep your mind in the present and you aware that I put my keys here and I put my wallet over here and so forth, and you're actually aware of where you put things, then when you go looking for them later, be easier to find. Whereas if your mind's all and you just kind of like think about something else and you're putting stuff down, you won't be able to recollect it so easily.
어디 다다어디 자와 가르치고요 어디 가나 심 하고와 체네로 가 내가 디 지기요 칼라스 소고요 개 개고요 밀럽게지 셰고요 암조 닝게요 야면 이거 튀고요 어디 다들 내가 가르치고요 어디 가나야 아니 샘바 데이터베이나 아니 디 누가 전부 차 제일 템바된 부대할 편도 요레스
So if we can keep our mind in the present, whatever we're doing, it makes it much clearer and more effective. So whether you're making food, like you're cooking, or you're talking to somebody, to keep the mindfulness, to keep your mind in the present, makes it much clearer and more powerful.
Sometimes you have conversation with your friend, your mind goes somewhere, and your friend talking blah blah blah, and you all say yes, yes, yes. Sometimes it's wrong, yes, Right? Me keji shedi samma shindal tanje ne lenjab deni and me konto sato dara.
So if you're like talking like this and you're going yeah, and then they realize you're not listening, then you might be in trouble and be sleeping on the couch.
And talk conversation 진유 talk 말해.
Right, and then obviously you're not actually having a very clear conversation with that person.
제가 어디래 다 드링된다 팔라엘라 제나게 양탑에 나서야디 다 둔다디게 저나서 단도 콘조 카시 코스트레 리데요레 네 저나서 사바서 당도 둔다레레라 제제제제 아니 서브젝트 카시야 데스 만즈 채나데요라 안다 양탑에 나서야 등원에 개심부레도 알아 계저셔야 돼 개심부 계절라로
So as I said, we're going to be focusing on right speech today in this talk. So we're looking at these eightfold noble path, and some people are on the weekend course for that, so that's good. But we also have this intention to cover off these week by week on the Sunday class. So sometimes we might talk about more than one or something, so it's not set, but we are planning to go over these in the weeks on Sunday. So today we're looking at right speech.
다 먼저 도스체 곰데스죠.
So we'll do a bit of meditation.
곰 가르자는 당보 비디 엑서사이즈 장가 주스죠. 대 잡사스나나 아니 수수 내 뒤지 밀라 깨져셔도 칙 가르쳐줘 지기도 깨져 장부시기도 그냥 칙 독자 펴줘 수수수수 계속 괜히 깨져셔야 돼 하고 오지. 당부대로 드링 계산 괜히 다 깨져셔 수수 깨져셔도 하셔 지기도 준시기도 아니 깨져 틱 주부시기도 수수 깨져 가르치기에 돼 쉐버지 당연히로.
So we'll start off by doing the breathing exercise as we did before, 10 times. And when you finish that, then you want to start to recollect the type of speech that you use when you're talking with others. So, what kind of speech you use that's positive, what kind of speech you use that's maybe not so positive, like is it lying, is it, things, manipulative speech, things like this. So just to be aware of
아니 가져디 가서 고섭 가져체도
and how much time do you waste just talking nonsense as well, right? Like gossiping and stuff.
아니 밀 짜진 가져치기도 미디 가져치기도 어디
do you tell people off and like say, oh, this is not right, you're not doing this right. So these types of things, just not to be aware of the kind of positive speech you use and the kind of not so good speech that you use.
다 곰 잡셔.
So we'll do the meditation.
First the breathing meditation 지를 통과.
So start with the breathing exercise 10 times.
다 수수 계속 괜히 당 수수 가주 템버데 계속 밀는네 계속 가르 시기도 아니 게미 돈다메 계속 가르 시기도 와
So now think,
하고 오지
recognize the kind of not so positive speech you use. Like what kind of speech do you use that's like harsh words, that's not positive for others to hear, and how much of your speech is just kind of not beneficial, just wasting kind of time. So think about these things.
다 수수기 계속 시야기 쫑치슈 가르 임바디 시버지 가시에게 줌어 시기로 다 가시에게 녜다 나랑기 계속 시야나라 녜 쫑도 슈 디도세 수수 하고나 다 하고치 야고여서
So now I should think about what's your biggest fault with your speech. You know, do you have a tendency to lie? Do you have a tendency to use harsh words? What do you recognize as the biggest, fault or problem with the way you talk with others? So try and just be aware of that.
다 켈렌chen 담자첸으로 아니마 드리네 수수기 나게 쩐도 쇼 카레나 니마 드리네 디다 시기면서로 준 시기면서 야면은 수수 준 시에도 두자이나 야 식주부 시에 두자이나 드리네 식주부 시기면서 야면은 수수 미신다게 고 자징 치야지도 뭐 네거티브 냐냐 시에대지도 어딘데 두나가 디치기면서 야면은 투주 톨라다네 베 수수 투주 톨라다 미 투주 톨라다 단다면 저 고섭색으로 하던데 셔 셰데스도 근데 시기도나 뒤에 시기면서 야 미가시인데도 수수 락발라 예베 잘라디 페조에 오마제 이제 타른 거지라 디야 오요레스로 점블링 미 페머스도 저게라 첨보요레 직직요 수수 틸레 예베 미딜라 푸시에 좀 맞아요체 미가시에 베 famous Kenya roden joden yo. Di kyonji yorde. Ben kyon dujarde. Di kyan keje sheje. Misim chilol tangdo ade. Misim di 최저 benang 최저 로이나 최저 그 티징다도 겨제 마셔 아 지지지요 니니요레스 미상마 칠월 심 당제 그래서 겨래 그래서
Kandi semgi kyona di nagi.
쌤 가게 겨 계제 시그로 밀 계제 시그로
Are.
계제 시그로 토빅 디베 토빅 첨부견야 셰스
Oh, okay.
그래서 겨래 그래서 셰바죠 그래서
That's okay.
나도 근데 지금에서 당에 니마 때문에 디토랑아 주었던 게 계제 땡아 주었던 게 주었던 게 담자셔
So, from now that you've had a chance to check your mind, do you want to make a commitment from today on that you're not going, whatever you saw as your fault with your speech, your biggest fault, that you're not going to do that going forward? If your main problem is lying, you're not going to lie anymore. If your main problem is using harsh words, then you're not going to speak harsh words anymore. If your main problem is telling everybody else what to do or judging, using speech that's judgmental to others, that you're not going to do that anymore. Maybe the biggest problem is you just waste a lot of time just talking stuff that's really not that important. Like often we have a tendency to have like looking at things that are not really relevant to us, like whatever, like, I don't know, whatever Brad and Brangelina are up to, or whatever, now there's some feud between the royal families or what's it, Megan, and so I saw it on a woman's magazine. Anyway, thinking and talking about this kind of thing a lot where you're neglecting the actual relevant situation that's going on around you. Yeah, this can be a habit. We can talk about these things that are going on that aren't actually relevant to our situation, and you neglect your own people around you. So if this is an issue for you, then also to refrain from that kind of speech.
어디지려 다 대체 하나 답변나 된대로 다준 시에도 당에 전화절라 세세 자고 말아 이다 수수 정보 이제 춘주인의 정보시에 되다 먼저다 개정보래로 다 딜라변나 저 미가시 나 토고 컨버세이션도 데 네거티브인데 시기도다 나 드드 바 포지티브로 줄고라다 근데 답시 지도는 야고요라
So the point is, if we take the example of lying, and this is a fairly obvious one, not to lie, to have like really honest and clear speech. That way, when you have a short conversation with somebody, it can actually be very productive, right, and can be helpful. But if the point is not to have negative or harmful kind of interactions, conversations with other people, to keep it positive.
It's lying, small lyings. Less our trust, trust isn't trust, not each other trust. Then very hard to working together, developing or working together, some making plan together and live together. It's not really nice, not really enjoy, less trust. Therefore, lying is not good. For your relationship making damage, right? And then some friend or they're talking lots about other people's, and they're most talking people negative. This is looks human little bit nature. You can look in a news, there are most negative news. They're not much using positive news. Exactly same. This reason then people recognize what people like. People like more negative, interesting. This reason news put lots negative. People like more positive. Then news put more positive. This reason they're looking what this similar marketing. Who's watching more? This put more there. This reason people watching more negative side then put more negative. Watching more positive side, then coming more positive side, We not balance the media or media, but media is our service customer for us. We are customer there. We making their business. Therefore, we watching, looking, talking very careful, just waiting. Ah, this is very interesting looking, and then they know how many people are watching, and then this is something very important. And also, sometimes conversation with people, and all the time, this is very good. You can use but, but usually use people, but in a positive go to negative side, negative. Now you can using the people talking negative. You can say, but this is very good, good, good. Oh, this person is a little bit lazy, but he is very smart, or she or he is very smart, or he is good cleaning, something like that. Try the body jobs in positive part. You
So to kind of change it, like use but to turn into a positive side.
아니 되네 된데도 topic 양 컨도 사실 topic negative share de 수수게 맨날 고습도 진이나로 디 마셰 디 나고 매 말아셔로 수수게 즉 저시 싸웠던 데가 와서 팬도 연결된 데가 나야.
So if you're having a conversation with somebody that's like negative or maybe just like a total waste of time, you don't want to be saying, oh, telling the person, oh, you shouldn't talk about this or that. That's not the way to do it. You've got to be skillful in kind of changing the topic, turning the topic to something more useful or beneficial.
We have five months. Most my friends come to stay my house. I have I live big house, etc. Because some we are same student. These parents very rich in Nepal, and they build a beautiful house, etc. And he went to US, and he gave me this house. Look after house me. I'm looking house sitting, but I'm lucky. I live in a big house, an independent house. I have three, four students. We live together, and then Tuesday, every Tuesday we have holiday. We don't have Sunday, Saturday. We have Tuesday, day off, day off. And most my friends come to my place. Sometimes 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 15. Every Tuesday, I think most come to my place, and we making cup of tea. And then someone talking, oh, blah blah blah, I bet blah 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 blah, talking gossip. And then the other one say, oh, I have question. He give Dharma question, and we have answer question, and we forgot gossip. We have conversation Dharma. We later we notice he's very smart person. He changing our topic. And he nothing say, oh, I don't like this talking. Oh, we don't talk this. Nothing say. I have question. He making question, Dharma question. And we found answer, question, answer, question, answer. Topic complete change. You can try like that, make some question, parent, oh, what is this? Some question, make some question, and changing topic. 어디, 어떤 데로, 대체도 깨져셔야 돼, 교다나? 아니, 깨져, 칙 주시 야고든 데서는 삼바 주더라. 칙 주시 야고든 데서는 삼바 주더라.
So, if you can change the topic like this, because if you're talking about a positive topic, then this makes your mind more happy and joyful.
칙 빼누고 셈버려.
Words have a lot of power.
칙 지단 다르와다. 인텔로 오퍼레이션 요리와. collaboration 요리.
Vibration.
디요리. 아니 가실 디요. 꿀론 숙청보요나. 꿀론로와. 꿀론 밀너야기 꿀론 숙청보요나. 칙디 빼누고 다디님도 독자용 거요라. 아니 꿀론 핀심이나. 아니 다디님도래야 칙칙디 누가 야고든데 용거요라. 차단 칙빼 다디 누가 전부 쉬어지래요.
So, the sound carries a lot of power, and obviously sound we know is like a vibration through the air, and it carries, if the speech you use, the motivation carries through with the sound, right? So if you have a negative motivation when you speak, that carries through, that negative motivation carries through with the sound. But if you have a beneficial motivation to benefit others, then that also comes through with the sound. So, the motivation has a lot of effect on the actual sound itself.
Sometimes a little bit notice
Notice it.
notice. Um, First come here and I met some people and they say, oh, religion. I'm no religion. And there's I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't know karma. Please don't talk there like that. And later we have some conversation like that, like that. And one day, maybe last year, I met this person again, and he said, "Oh, I don't want to go fishing because I'm making bad karma." Before he said, "Don't tell me karma," Now he talking karma. No, no, I don't want to go fishing because I'm making bad karma. Something takes time. Uh, just just using good words and then they're thinking. They're nothing talking but thinking inside and something they got meaning and then they're coming out. 칙디 하와르도 칙 상보도 들어 삼바 상부 지시하러 와라 삼바 상보로 와 삼바 상보 어디 인지실을 가려고 하네 삼바 상부 지시하되 개좀 버려 음
So, as you said, the motivation is what brings about these positive words or pure words. So then we talk about this good-hearted attitude, or sometimes we say this pure motivation or attitude. So what do we mean by this when we talk about it?
the all the time most people you listening holiness Dalai Lama's teaching and he last teaching finished he said Samba Sangbuchea Samba Sangbuchea he give this last final message for us Samba Sang good heart you be
Yeah, like
you be
develop
good
a
heart
good heart,
oh.
have a good heart, something like that.
Just this was very powerful you can try keep your mind all the time and then thinking this how then question come ra khandes mil samba sangba chawre ra
So how do you how do you develop this good heart?
ane chik tangbo chik kya changbore chik nyembo chik yakbo
Hmm.
mila ta chik khashe yan chik negative chik ina mila phendo yobatinde ina digor ya ro ti chik di tap so so kulon la rale ge ro kulon ge phendo yona digor ro
So, words have a tremendous power in affecting your, environment. Like if you have positive, pleasant words, then this is generally speaking very good, beneficial for others. It's not to say sometimes you may need to use more like forceful or harsh words in the right situation, because if maybe that's a benefit to somebody, but you've got to be very aware of your motivation. It all comes down to what your motivation is.
그래서 sometimes some people never using the negative words. Then we see these persons more calm or relaxed. And some people using more negative words. This is not really happy person. There's 계제 틱 배주시나 하고 그래. 네거티브 망고 슉치니 미디 스보당 대단라 야고요 말에. 포스티브 망고 배주시니디 미코나 시가 잠바당 스보당 창만 펴바당 삼바지고요. 근데디 땡겨다로.
So we can see people who use negative speech a lot, their minds are not very stable or peaceful or happy. And people who use only positive speech or more positive speech, then their minds are more stable, more peaceful, more happy, they're more calm. Generally they're in a better state of physical health. You can see that by the words that people use. You can see the effect this has on them.
I think some people research flower, using the lots positive words. Same flower, one flower use more negative, and this negative use more this plus flower dead. This is speech power show, changing the flower. Exactly the same our watermelon. Watermelon people using more speech in positive, and environment is more peace. This reason we put lots of mantra. Mantra is sound, the physic. There's this is talking. Modern sound is quantum physics moving. Moving in Tibetan Buddhism. There's all form is moving, all the changing moment change. 미다고로 미다고.
Impermanent.
미다고 가서는 주어도 거라. 주어도 듣고 구조 접지 때는 주어도 거라. 되다.
So we say form is impermanent, and why is it impermanent? Because it's constantly changing. And why is it constantly changing? Because it's constantly moving.
당연하지. 그 구조 접대가 이거잖아. 구조 야가 자단지 누가 자단지 알아.
So if you're moving anyway, you probably better to move in a positive direction, right, rather than a negative.
And nowadays, the modern scientists they're using lots of chemical. This is a bad moving. This affect our body, environment. This is shows. Because natural the tukshara.
So they're
natural part to tukshara. That
they're
natural
trying
someone
to manipulate nature, right? And so who knows what they're actually going to end up doing.
Nature someone tukshara, missing nature. Mix nature.
Missing.
Yeah, some part didn't no balance. that 제가 데려와 당저 다리 둔다 데라 아니 저 수수 ngalayata 아니 저 수수 직다 positive 계제 쉐당 아니 계제 정보 쉐야당 아니 직 계제 딱 계제 마셔고는 꾸롱기로 와 꾸롱디 팬도 꾸롱 제 계제 쉐고야 다들 계제 뭐 쉐오래 꾸롱데 nga 미 계제나 밀레 팬도 예베 계제 드나 쉐 아니 팬마도 나는 계제 마셔는 디로
So today the main focus is on developing a positive speech. So, it's talking honestly with people in a clear way, but also prior to that, having the right motivation, developing the right motivation before you speak and checking is what I'm saying beneficial. And if what you're saying is not beneficial to yourself or others, maybe it's better not to say it.
This week your home relaxation speech practice ra 양대배 nga 거돌라 아니 둔다데 다 니 요레스 심다 basic meditation 간라 심 다다와라 샤야당 아니 수수 nga라 다제 체제 다 수수 nga 가리경 가리나 데메베시 다 쪼게시시디 정보셔야당 유엔된셔야당 아니 밀레 팬도 예베 계시로 밀레 팬토베 계제든데도나 시 아니 팬도 메베 계제도나 마시로 데리다
So as we said today, or for the next week, you should be focused on looking at your developing the right speech, and also with this basic meditation of bringing the mind into the present moment. But regarding the speech, you want to be first of all aware of the speech. And not in terms of thinking about the faults of it so much, but more in terms of trying to speak in an honest way, trying to speak in a beneficial way, trying to make your speech focus on the qualities of others. And sometimes thinking, if the speech is not beneficial, if what you're saying is not of any benefit, then maybe better not to say it. So with this right speech, the key thing to develop it is thinking. Oh, okay. So thinking about how your speech will affect others, but this is related to your own experience. Like what kind of things, when people say that to you, how does that make you feel, or how does that affect you? So starting to try and be aware of that, like how is what I'm saying going to affect others, you know? And if you recognize that what you're saying is actually going to be disturbing for them or going to upset them, then just better not to speak it. Mm. 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 And we notice that people who have positive speech, people who speak pleasantly to others, then naturally you like those people, right? You like people who speak in this way. Mm. So, right. So if you know if you like somebody and then you speak to them in a pleasant way, then they'll kind of get on with you and like you back, and then you'll have heaps of friends. So it'll be good. Yeah. Yeah. And we need positive friendships and relationships in our life. So it's good. Be careful. Might be 25 soon. Oh, okay. Ribbon. Rat. Sitsichembo. Yeah, rats. Oh no, we're gonna have a Dr. Dolittle situation soon.
Russian there's a krok 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 morning krok 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 krok. And then I feed in the compost. I give bread and biscuit. I give there, and they eat. Now they live in garden. Don't now live in house. Yes, and calling sounds very we have
Pigeons.
one month and other than that, this sound behind the kitchen, kitchen sound. And I look in the window, this kitchen behind the house. They're eating some flower, they like some flower. All of them come in there. Now I have two kitchens, three dogs, and two mouse, one mouse, one mouse. I didn't see that much. I like it. I found this one the farm. And then they hunted bird. Bird is follow me. Don't see, let's see the follow this is my friend.
Mm. Mm. So, like birds like people, right? If you help them out, if you benefit them, then they like you, right? People are the same. If you do something nice for them, then they like you. Mm. 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 So also, some people explained this before, but for people who might be new, it's very good in the evening, just before you go to bed or go to sleep, to take a little time just to check your actions for the day and see, is there anything with your speech or your body or something you did or said that's not positive, that you kind of feel was not really that good to do or say. And then if you recognize something like that, make a commitment not to repeat that, not to continue to do that. So you should try and make that commitment. Mm. 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 So, the point of all this meditation and all this thinking is to change your mind, to be more beneficial, to kind of change your way of thinking. Um, However, of course, this is not easy. We have very strong like, habit patterns, habituations, and changing those is not easy. But if you put effort in, and over time, you can change your habits and behavior. Mm. Mm, yeah, yeah, but it's not as changing your mind is not as easy as changing your clothes. It takes time. Yeah, but if we do work, if we do strive, then we can change. Mm. Okay. Mm. Good. Good sugar. Good. Okay. Right. Lots of. Mm. 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 So, the majority of what affects our happiness, the vast majority, is in the mind. Okay, certainly we are affected by external things, but that's a very small part. Like 99% of whether you're happy or not is dependent on the mind, right? Although we do have a connection with our outside environment, if we have developed the right mental attitudes, like a positive mental attitude, things like contentment, concentration, this good-hearted attitude, then whatever goes on around us, this won't affect us. Our mind will always be happy. Mm. So this is how to bring meditation into your daily life or into one day, and also some homework for the next week. So that should keep you busy. Yeah. Mm. Right. Uh-huh. Mm. 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 Okay. Mm. Right, right. So sometimes the negative speech 제곡이래요. 간신히 the 대낭라 the 부모책 미 셴벌라 너프책이래요. Like was this a like workplace thing? Was this a Me Too thing? Yeah. Okay. So the lekanangla mi lekala right sopanangla mi morangla dukshijegire. Ini morang di shegido. Na kachi shena dini konza nobachegire. Yenang kachi ma shena dini di mishemba nobachegire. So di sambe yorero. So samsam nanzo kachi dukchi she gogire. Samsam kanyenzena ma shena dini konza di nobachegin mamba mi mangwa nobachegire. So dini samsam di sim shuk gogire. Ini kachi she gogire. Yena kande hago.
어제다 편도에 메로.
Oh, okay. So this Philip was just asking about when we need. Sometimes you need to say use negative speech in the sense that if you're getting harmed by somebody or somebody's doing inappropriate things and you don't speak up about it, then the behavior can just continue. So if sometimes when do you know when to use? Sometimes even though the speech might be negative and might affect the other people. How do you know when to speak up and not? Like and to be brave. And to be brave about it. Yeah.
왜서는 그래?
Brave simshul.
지난 데더러 펜더여나 셰워다 펜더러 디 베나 딘데로 니즈딘데 다 미페졸레 콤싱에 뭐만도야 나 미신라 마도야 딘데기 꿀론 상보여나 계저 셰워라 펜더 메나 딘데 계저 셰네 단도 도르도르도라 다 저디레 계시디 미신라 계저 셰그 교인데 미 계저 셰야 교인데 셰 제네 펜터나 다 디로다 페마도 상상을 단도 도르도더라 니즈 도르도야 된대나 아니 먼저게 가져라도 모티베이션디 펜도여를 될래 액션디 펜도에 매우 잘 왔고 또 디레다 펜도여다 매일 따제네 펜도여나 계지시 펜도면은 샤야레스로
So the thing you've got to use your judgment here, use your wisdom to see is what I'm saying going to be beneficial or not, right? So of course we have to do it with the right motivation, but also we have to check is it going to be beneficial or not? Because sometimes you can say something and it can just make the situation worse, right? So you've got to be really skillful in when you say and what you say, because even sometimes we can have the right intention to help, but if we're not skillful, we can actually end up making the situation worse. So the main thing you've got to be checking is what I'm saying going to be beneficial or is it not? Right? And then based on that, then you can decide whether it's appropriate to say something, to point out. Like sometimes there is situations where you need to point out somebody's fault or something that's happening, but you've got to check, is it going to be beneficial or not? And if it's going to not be beneficial and make the situation worse, then maybe, then you've got to make that call, basically.
Another question?
Anybody else online? Anything?
Yeah, question. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think about like strike and protest? Like a lot of people, for example, I really cannot understand why people get together and shout to like to ask for change for climate change. I think you should just go to plant trees, and while shouting can help. So
Okay.
yeah, what's your attitude
So
with
this.
protest and strike? Like doctors and nursing, they'll strike, but in the end, what suffers is the patients.
So so the question is, what do you think about protesting and striking?
Yes.
Is protesting, does it actually, protesting over climate change, isn't it better to go and do something like plant trees? And when doctors and so forth strike, is it actually going to help or is it only the patient that suffers in the end? So didn't Casey in protest? Been climate change mambo namdu michembo namdu kaja mambo shay. Dependo yume marang did some yura. Chikchina di labna pendog me dini kerang di trees sogire ni di none legachena chikchina yawadu. And sometimes di tiwa chambo di tiwa niba di sometimes di striking chigire pena legache dogi mare ra nime chigni sum nanza legache pena di menpa di jigire menpa ta nusi sometimes nanza legache gire di nane penda yome did sometimes di patients di no pache penda yome so kiran kare samlata
제대로와 나디 ngogo 신이 저 계좌월이다. 로 꿀론 가시 꿀론라 수수 페머스 책 꿀론인데 요르다. 와 점블링나 미 돈난데. 원에게 본로베이션 커뮤니티 제이나 당뭐 수수응원에 수수 로용으로 배줘야 지야로 뭐라 다야도 용으로 다야 수수응원에 배전 체제 나딘데 지기 지난데 지라위나 야고요래. 대야고 말에 좀도 대 지금에서 대 야고면도 나이나로.
So when it comes to protesting, like in general, and saying things, it depends again on what your motivation is, right? Like some people, I think maybe are just doing it for some sort of 15 minutes of fame or something like that, right? But it depends on your motivation and your own actions. So if, for example, somebody is doing something like saying they're using less power, they're not driving a car, for example, they're not wasting and these types of things. And then they say, well, look, this is what I'm doing. You should do the same, right? Then that can be effective. This is the benefits of what I'm doing. Maybe you could do the same. Where that can be helpful. Whereas if you're doing something opposite and you're telling everybody else what to do, then I'm not sure that that's so beneficial.
딜레단다 tension. 수수 신주야당. 두주야고도. 신나주 와 아니 신주 프로젝트체 아니마드 프로젝트체 라베드도 칼라데 라베드 마세제나 들어와다 들어와다
So if you're actually doing things like protecting or the environment, like protecting the forest, protecting the animals, maybe feeding the animals, then this kind of action is beneficial.
먼저 계지셰네 점블링 시드 소도 말아 수수 점블링 시드
sometimes you can't tell the world to change, but you can always have the ability to change your own world.
I think better to change your own world. 수수 점블링 디 주었다 미 점블링 주었다 가고래.
Sometimes better to change your own world. Changing other people's world is sometimes difficult.
먼저 상관돼요래. 미라 셰드 렐하고요래. 수수 점블링 주었다디 가고요래.
Yeah, right. So telling other people what to do is easy. Changing your own world is not so easy.
제가 딕하게 딕 레그 제나 야그라.
Yeah. So if you do changing but the real work is changing your own world, your own environment.
단다디 멤버단 건서 뭐고자도 뭐고자는 펜토나다 딕들 펜토 오면다. 데 니마지기 레가 니마지기 미네바 그 강이 태야당 그저 티셔도버디 경험을 미시지게 member lega ma che lobde ge genge ne lobda la di lobdu la ne lobje ma thi ba de zo da chidan de zo da yago sker ngara yana yago thong mun de so tablan yago ma res de zo
So when it comes to striking, I don't know if it's actually of long-term benefit, then maybe it's good. But I'm obviously if doctors strike, it can affect the patients for that day. Or teachers strike, it has an effect. Whether or not it brings the benefit in the end, then I'm not sure. I haven't seen so much, but.
어디래다 나에 되게 뭐마에는 아이 점블링라 상로 뭐 단계 요스라 상당 점블링 베 타는 모르셔서 나베 타데 딜레 나란 점블링 디로 수수 파마 수수 저에 연구미 수수를 이제 진이 되더라 계좌망듯이 아니 수수 이제 마치니 밀라니 계좌셔는 펜도면 되로 가가데 다라래.
Yeah, I used to look more about what's going on in the outside world, right? Or I'm used to put more energy into that, but actually that's really in reality a long way away. Whereas, often it's better to focus on my own kind of world environment in the sense that, if people you've established like a trust relationship with people, then they're more inclined to listen to you and these sorts of things, and then you can have more effect. Just telling people who don't know you what to do is maybe not so useful, right?
Yeah, 그죠.
Just have to be people. It does have to be brought awareness though to certain things, and there has to be people around the world that will champion certain things and animals and to bring a bit more awareness to people who are not quite.
Yeah, so sometimes it's important to bring awareness to these issues, and it requires people to champion them to do that. So sometimes the mima hakoro pena Hong Kong drawer the concept protest kind of mission ba hakogi mendo. So sometimes me mahakona dini hako sogo gure. So they sometimes pendok di yore protest chena.
Dire 제는 dire 저기 펜도 아니 지난 미망고 항공하고는 지하 개민도 미망고 jumbling what understand Hong Kong situation understand what 가르치 지하 개민도 또 계시지 배 홍콩 미만다 자나 흉기 내가 전에 펜도 여름에 먼저 jumbling 발라발라네 펜도 가르치 개민도.
Well, yeah, I mean, I used the example of Hong Kong protests there just to give an example. He said, but is it beneficial, right? Like, is the world knowing about it? Does it help? Or is it just an internal thing between the people of Hong Kong and the Chinese government, right? Is it, okay, the world's aware, but is it actually helping? Does it actually help that does it matter that everybody else knows?
More what you said about Hong Kong, where I was meaning more of nature and animals and.
Okay, so
and surely we're all interconnected, even if you live in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
I would say the world's very interconnected.
yeah, and the universe.
okay, and
We're all part of the whole.
so you're talking more about nature with these things?
I mean, it didn't come to my eye.
Okay. Okay, so but looking more about environmental change and things like that. Okay, so kasi so Hong Kong mare the environmental change mimma hakona deni the nopache tubgini mimma hako deni pendogum so sometimes the protest chena mi hako the nopache deni climate change yore the hakona deni chikchuna the pendog yore.
bena de 야구라 이나 에콘들 education 때
Mm.
네 칼라멘 젠치 딘마치 대치스로 먼저 대치고 써야 된다 요나 야고도 와 현재 대 야고 면도 장 말라오셔라 배나가서 디 컴퍼니도 소다 딘데 치고여래 아니 소다도 잘라 망보도 수요거랑 먼저 요거로 먼저 디 잡라 먼저 디소고서로 내추럴리 딘데 sö나 딘데기 아니 미말야 탑람 딘데 때나 디 야고도 안 거네.
So yeah, with this, then what is more effective is actually educating people, finding a way to educating people effectively. So like, this is what climate change is, and this is what you can do to change it. So if a company, for example, is harming the environment, well, at the end of the day, people are the ones that buy their products or services. So if we can be aware of what effect our behavior has, then then we can make a clear choice. Just telling people do this, don't do that is maybe not the most effective way.
배나 알아서 컴퍼니라 배샤요나 내가 지금 배샤면 내가 지금 말아. 배샤디 nhập 땡 안저 지고라 배주 안저 당겨라.
So like obviously companies are all about making money, right? If what they're doing is making the money, they're going to keep doing it. And if what they're doing is not making money, then they're going to stop doing it. So we're the ones spending the money. So at the end of the day, we have the power to actually change. Right?
It's very tricky. But they 당아서 나도 돼요. 나는 지둥이 내래 다 점블링 야구냐 나도 미상매 내래 되어요래서. 액션 되어요래. 지둥 내라 투모 매 레셔고라 내디게 셔고라. 다디 수수수게 친주네 제dom나 디 야구도 와서 그러게.
So we're also all interconnected on this world, and we have this what we call collective karma, or maybe shared kind of karma. So even if you make a small change, it can have like quite an effect. Right?
For example, you usually use your house 2 light, you can use 1 light, and the shadow chick 뉴르도라. 니네 company shadow chick konde 뉴르도라. 두 세정을 펜도 지도 그랬다. 진주내라.
If you lose 1 light instead of 2, then you'll use half the number of light bulbs, and then the company, if everybody does that, the company will manufacture half the number of light bulbs. So in this way, you've actually cut down on the number of light bulbs produced. So a small thing can make a big change.
You have 2 cars, you don't need 2 cars, 1 car is enough. Some people have 15, 20 cars, and then what bond? For example, their house, how many lights, Yeah. Oh.
I'm not sure how to frame my question, but something to do with summoning your energy and being courageous to create a change. Maybe that might involve in the summoning of your energy, anger, but not necessarily in a negative way, but just summon energy up to create change. And I was thinking in here, we have a wrathful. I was wondering if you could talk about that aspect in regard.
Okay, so sometimes in order to make a change, you need to bring out some energy. So sometimes anger or something like that can be useful in bringing out your energy to create this kind of courage that you need. And sometimes we have these wrathful deities. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that. So sometimes the semsho gona, right? Nupa gona, any nupa sogo gure, right? Any sometimes the control the nupa sogo gure. So control dukja mara the control yabudo the go yabu sogure. Nga nupa sogure any control the nupa sogure. Any sometimes the lala sokpa the control truckpa la yore, right? Any the gyunsen karere the kind of.
Dire 제가 먼저 굴론디 펜싱의 굴론 요체 아니 액션라 카셰 미케제 잠부셰는 마녀들라들라 트럭부셰는이로 어디래다
So it's regarding these deities, it's like sometimes you need, with a right positive motivation, you need to actually be quite staunch with people, right? Like Chokpa's almost like staunch, like really clear, really like, or that sometimes just being quiet and nice isn't going to work. You have to be quite forceful with people, but it's with this positive motivation, and that's the appearance is one thing, but the motivation is something different.
어디래 다간다 꿀론 다 아주 포르시아다 두 상물 꿀론 라레고요. 다서 꿀론 상보지기 토네 아니 치투베이나 다 팬도 요이나 야고요라 팬 꿀론 메나 아니 쳐요만 다
It's the
가리나.
same with protests and all these things. If the motivation is positive, then that potentially can be quite good. But if the motivation's not positive, then
당보디로 당보 모티베이션이 니버디를 리졸 카르도더라. 리졸을 팬도 맨도나나 아니 액션 쳐요마라.
So you got to check to both things. First, what is the motivation for doing something? Right? Is it positive? And second is, what is the result of this action going to be? And is it going to be beneficial? So even if the motivation's good, but you think the action's not beneficial, then better not to do it.
That is how.
So we'll stop here.
Good question.